Jim joined the military in '61 at the age of 17. He was so proud of that. He was to the last day. And he would have given his life for his country. I know he would have. And I'm not too sure he didn't. He just didn't do it the way he imagined that it would be.
We developed back then this patriotism, not only to the country, but also to the system. The system's going to take care of us. But in fact, it was the system that done a lot of us in, you know.
I love Canada with a passion, but this was a really bad thing. They did a really bad thing here.
Agent Orange was a defoliating agent. It burnt off the leaves in Vietnam so they could see the enemy, and they were testing it in Gagetown.
I don't think Dad called it Agent Orange there. He just mentioned chemicals. He said stuff started falling on them, and it wasn't raining. They knew that instinctively there was something wrong.
Many people who live near CFB Gagetown want to know if their health was compromised by the spraying of Agent Orange
and other toxins at the base.
1,328,000 litres of defoliant chemicals were sprayed on this place.
Herbicides containing deadly dioxins were used to kill vegetation.
Years later, as knowledge about the side effects of Agent Orange and other chemicals began to emerge,
at a briefing on base Gagetown in June, defense officials admitted the chemicals were dangerous, but made it clear proving the effects would be difficult.
We're a sisterhood, because we've got the common bond of dead husbands. How awful, eh? But still, they're worth fighting for.
The reason for making the quilt is for the memory. These are real people that have died, and I think that's what the public isn't grasping.
We need to get the people involved. We need to get people angry. And I don't understand why they're not.
Is what happened at Gagetown an isolated incident? Not at all. It's still happening today.
One of the chemical ingredients in Agent Orange is actually the 2,4-D herbicide, which is a chemical that continues to be used very widely.
We're wrecking our whole system, and our governments are not listening. They're only listening to the multinational corporations.
I'm going to tell the world what they did. Somebody has to tell the truth here. Nobody's been telling the truth. This has been covered up for decades.
When I was a child growing up in India, science was God. Science was going to solve the problems of the world. It almost did.
Dioxins, the world's most toxic chemicals. Of these, TCDD is the worst. This chemical is produced as a byproduct in the manufacture of the herbicide 2,4,5-T, combined with a second herbicide, 2,4-D. We get what is known as Agent Orange. During their war against Vietnam, the Americans sprayed more than 45 million liters of dioxin-laden Agent Orange across the Vietnamese countryside to defoliate the dense jungle the Viet Cong used for cover.
This shows in a few moments killing of a common weed after spraying with 2,4-D weed killer. The action is physiological, appearing to upset the plant's growth processes and causing gradual but certain death.
In Vietnam, the legacy of Agent Orange has been skin disease, birth defects, and cancer. Agent Orange was not only sprayed in Vietnam, however, it was also sprayed in Canada. Between 1956 and 1984, the Canadian military sprayed more than 1 million liters of Agent Orange, Agent White, and Agent Purple on Canadian Forces Base Gagetown. Agents Orange, White, and Purple were first used as a relatively inexpensive way of clearing brush from power lines and training areas at Gagetown. But starting in 1966 and 1967, American military scientists also conducted tests there. In particular, the U.S. Army wanted to test Agent Purple, which is 3 times as deadly as Agent Orange. Also, of possible North American test sites, Gagetown had plant life most similar to Vietnam. The question now is, was this simply science gone wrong? Or did officials at Base Gagetown and executives at the Dow Chemical Company realize the dangers? Unfortunately, the latter is true. Minutes of a 1966 meeting of the Defense Research Board show that senior Canadian military officials knew that dangerous and unregistered herbicides were being sprayed at the base. Employees of Dow Chemical were also aware of the danger.
We are the survivors. This is our story.
We're mad as hell and we're not going to take it anymore.
There was no woods here at all 50 plus years ago, and there's none now. Why?
That's all wasteland, dead. There was no birds, nothing.
Agent Orange was a defoliating agent. It burnt off the leaves in Vietnam so they could see the enemy, and they were testing it in Gagetown.
The health effects of Agent Orange or Agent Purple remain unclear.
Don't talk to me about 66 and 67. They were the late years. Talk to me about 56 to 84. That's what's going on.
Mr. Speaker, this is code language for doing nothing.
I didn't lie to you to get elected.
They're not playing with puppies now. They're playing with the old dogs.
Well, I don't know what the truth is because you're lying to us. You're always lying to us.
We will not give up.
I couldn't believe that my sister might have been born with a birth defect because my mother was exposed to Agent Orange in Canada. When she got a check for $20,000, I began making this documentary.
How are they finding chemicals 40 years later on the base and then claiming that this base is safe? And troops are training there to go to Afghanistan right now.